It's the McShay Show presented by FanDuel. It's time for the first 12-team playoff, and you can bet on all of the action with FanDuel. Just think about all the opportunities we're going to have to bet on the college football playoff. We're talking about different conferences, home games for certain teams, the 3 or 4 week run that you're going to have to play. There's so much to earn if you're betting with FanDuel this college football playoff season. Why we love FanDuel? There's so many markets like spreads, over-unders, national championship futures, and so much more. This app is safe, secure, and easy to use. When you win, you'll get paid instantly. Visit FanDuel.com/McShay to download America's #1 sportsbook. The Ringer is committed to responsible gambling. Visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available. And listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 and older and present in select states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers officially declares for the NFL draft. Mistake? Or are we missing the point? Plus, a lot of underclassmen decisions to dissect. Is Penn State primed in 2025 to be the Ohio State of 2024?
Aren't you bearing the lead here, man?
Oh, yeah. Kirk Herbstreit. He's joining the show to preview the college football playoff national title game between Ohio State and Notre Dame. Listen, Stevie boy, it's called a tease, okay? It's national championship week in college football, divisional playoff week in the NFL. And how many days left until the NFL draft?
Just 97.
Oh, man, we got to get to work. Muench, you good?
I'm good.
Roll out some of that music for me, baby. Big day. Herbie's joining us, as we mentioned. Awesome to get it. Like, he's literally, after after joining our show, no one's interviewing with us, joining our show, he's going to head off and jump on the Herbie Air Express and get down to Atlanta, getting ready for the national championship game. He's on the call with Chris Fowler. But I wanted to start things off. We'll do a whole preview and breakdown with him. We'll get into our game picks and kind of dissect what's going on with FanDuel, try to beat the book one more time, right? And then, but listen, at our core, at our foundation, we're NFL draft guys, right? And we like, that's our passion here. Quinn Ewers, Texas quarterback. We've discussed it a lot, the potential for Quinn Ewers to grad transfer, the potential for him to declare for the NFL draft, and it's been made official now. I want to explain to everyone. So there's a January 15th date as we sit here on January 16th. That's the official day for underclassmen that they have to declare. Now, because of the college football playoff and the first year of the 12-team playoff, there's been an exception or an addendum written to that rule that players have. The game is being played. The national championship game is being played on the 20th, as we all know, Ohio State versus Notre Dame. On the 24th, for those players participating in that game, they have to make a decision by then. So there's an extension for players from Notre Dame and Ohio State. But for the rest of the country, if you're an underclassman, you have eligibility left, and you have to make a declaration whether you're leaving for the NFL or you're going to stay in college. That's to be done yesterday, January 15th, okay? Quinn Ewers, in time for that deadline, made the decision. I struggled with this one, okay? Because it's like the old school Todd McShay versus adjusting to the times and what we're seeing and the opportunities, okay? So here's where I want to kind of take this. From a business standpoint, if I'm an advisor for Quinn Ewers, I am talking to the same people that I myself have talked to, that Todd McShay has had the conversations with, and those are people in the NFL. And I told you last week, everyone I've spoken to in the NFL, everyone, solicited or unsolicited, has said Quinn Ewers needs to grad transfer. Archie Manning is the quarterback of the future. There's no question. Second, that final gun went off in the Cotton Bowl, and they lost that game. It's Arch time in Austin, Texas. We know that. But Quinn did not have the best year of his career. there's still growth that can occur for Quinn Ewers. Maybe it would take a fresh start somewhere else, a new offensive coordinator, a new head coach. Maybe it would simply just take a full year of health after the oblique injury, the ankle injury, okay? Everyone in the league told me that. Solicited and unsolicited, Quinn Ewers needs to grad transfer. And the reason why is two parts to it. First of all, despite all the games played, right? All the starts he's made, all the wars he's been through, and we've talked extensively in the show, and I will never stop talking about how critical game experience is to quarterbacks when they get in the NFL. It's not about, oh, I got drafted 3rd overall, so I got $33 million guaranteed in a 5-year contract. Or I got drafted 20 overall, so I've got like 18 million guaranteed. It's not about that. It's about the career. It's about the second contract, but it's about, if I'm going to be a first-round pick, I'm probably going to have to play, and am I ready to play? And even as a second-round draft pick, like, didn't take long for Will Levis to get on the field, okay? Quinn Ewers is not the draft pick that he wants to be. Probably a 3rd or 4th-round draft pick, okay? I've talked to some people who think 2nd round. I've talked to some people in the league who have him 5th round, okay? That's a wide range, and it's not a range you want. I'd be curious to find out, because we've talked about this too, the committee, the underclassmen committee that you can put in your, put in a claim to, or, you can question the committee on where you're going to get drafted, right?
Right.
And we've talked about this, that you get one of 3 answers from that committee. The underclassmen advisory committee is the name. 1st round, 2nd round, go back to school. Okay. And they're not always right. Like, as we get closer to draft, I'll get into, there were like 7 guys last year that were told go back to school. It wound up being 2nd round picks. And there's all sorts of numbers, but for the most part, they're in the general area. Okay. I'm guessing he got to go back to school. Maybe at best he got a 2nd round. Okay. So with that as the backdrop, that's not the answer you want. So that right there kind of tells you maybe I should go back to school for another year. The second part of this, and this is the new age, right, is that we've got these NIL deals. Carson Beck, the initial report was $3 million that Carson Beck got from Miami to go. And then there were some reports of $4 million. And now I'm reading too that potentially, like, there could be more, and it could be closer to like 8-10 million, and I don't know what's true. All I know is the initial is somewhere in that $3 to $4 million range. And what I can do is compare that to what a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick would have been in terms of his money for his rookie year. I was told Will Levis made, $995,000 his rookie year. So let's call it $1 million. And let's say Carson Beck is making $4 million at Miami. I'm
not good at math, but
$3 million pay cut. Or let's say he's making $3 million. It's still $2 million more to stay in college for another year. Okay. And so for Quinn Ewers, I'm not saying it would have been the same money, but I got to guess. And I have read substantiated reports. There were offers to go other places for sizable quarterback money in this NIL market. So let's just even call it $2 million. And that now is maybe a 3rd or 4th round pick. You're talking, over $1 million pay cut that he's going to take to be a rookie in the NFL. Business-wise, not a great decision, in my opinion. Okay. Not even in my opinion. That's the fact of it. The second part is, I think he could have benefited from another year, maybe a different system, maybe just a healthy year, more game experience. We've talked about Jaden Daniels, the transfer. We've talked about, Caleb Williams being a transfer. We've talked about, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, getting a second opportunity at a different place, fresh set of eyes on you, and trying to figure out strengths and weaknesses. I think he could have benefited, right? But then there's this, and only in the last 24 hours did I start thinking about this. There's something special about college football and the dreams you have as a young man growing up and being a Texas guy and always your entire life wanting to play for Texas and be the starting quarterback at Texas. And you accomplish that dream as a child. And you do it at a damn high level. College football semifinals 2 years in a row, win a lot of games. Kind of, I don't want to say turned around, but but really helped elevate a Texas program that had been sputtering for a long time, since like the Vince Young days. Got this thing turned around. Sark obviously comes in, huge part of that, but Quinn will always be remembered as the quarterback that kind of like jolted the Texas program. And there's something too, like, do I just want to be another one of these NIL veterans bouncing around from school to school? I want to be remembered as the Texas quarterback. And so that part of it, I understand and appreciate, to be quite honest. That's where I am on it. Go ahead.
I'm going to give you a subtle pushback, and then I'm going to agree with you. And my slight pushback is this. There is no way. My instinct tells me that there's no way he gets out of the second round. And I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying about the tape. I know what you're saying about the year. I know what you're saying about conversations you've had with scouts. All of that adds up to me, by the way. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. But this happens all the time where we talk in January and then we get into the pre-draft process, and all of a sudden you hear Quinn Ewers had some of the most remarkable interviews I've ever heard. This guy's so sharp. You get him on the board. He knows this. He's so charismatic when you get him in the room. And I think he has a chance to have that kind of a pre-draft process with his interviews. I think he's going to throw the ball. You're going to go to the pro day and you'll be like, oh, look at him throwing the ball. It's like David Pollack talked about in our first episode of this show, man.
Yep.
He's a guy you see on the driving range, and he's just striping it. He's going to, I think, kill the pre-draft process. I think this is a weak class. I think they benefit from that. And that's why I think
I think that's a big part of it too.
Right. So they benefit from that in terms of where he's going to go. Here's where I'll agree with you. Is it about where you're going to get drafted, or is it about your long-term success and how much success you have over the course of your career? And to me, that's what it should be about. It should be about that. It should be about how well you're going to play over the course of your career. And he puts himself in the best position by going back for another year of school, playing some more football, again, ideally staying healthy and showing. I mean, this kid's a talented kid. If he goes back and has a great year, you potentially go from an early second round pick, maybe even a late first, to a guy who's going to go much earlier, who's going to be in a much better position to succeed. So to me, ultimately at the end, I agree with you. I think he should have gone back.
You mentioned it, and it's the one part I failed to mention. I'm glad you brought it up. There are agents involved, and those agents are looking at NIL deals and also comparing this year's quarterback class to what potentially could be next year's quarterback class. I think that played into Jalen Milroe's decision to leave for the draft, right? But you've got Carson Beck going back to school. You've got Garrett Nussmeier, who could be the first quarterback taken next year, going back to school. You've got some younger quarterbacks elevating. Yeah, I think it absolutely. I mean, this is kind of widely known as a weak quarterback class after 2 years of much better quarterback talent coming out in the draft. So I do think that factored in. And I wish the dude the best, man. Like,
of course.
I mean, all of them, all of these guys, and I've said that before, you want the best for them. And he certainly is prepared from a coaching experience. Like the coaching that he's gotten from Sark is well documented, and his experience in the NFL and Sark's experience at Alabama and his experience developing quarterbacks for decades now in college football. Like you're well prepared in that department. There's no question about it. He's got a lot of games under his belt. But it is what it is now. And so it's time to just turn the page. And so now we move forward and we kind of stack it in this year's quarterback class. And it's going to be interesting. This year's class is interesting, and I don't want to do a whole lot of time, but I'll throw it out there. Like, you've got a lot of people are on the Cam Ward bus, and a lot of people are on the Shedeur Sanders bus, and not all those people are want to take a ride on both buses. They're like, some people are, you know what I mean? Like I'm a Cam guy, right?
Well, they're very different players, right? That makes sense. That adds up. It's stacked.
Right.
It stacks up. Yeah,
totally. And so it's either I'm a Cam guy or Shedeur guy. But then after that, where does Quinn factor into this? I keep hearing a lot of love for Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. He's going to have a great process like you were talking about.
Right.
Smart guy, a lot of warts, tough, has the arm. Get him in an NFL system. I can't wait to watch him at the Senior Bowl and kind of see him NFL system. How does he respond that week? And I think Quinn Ewers in that discussion, Jalen Milroe at the Senior Bowl as well. Like, that's going to be an awesome week. And that's not even the strength of this year's Senior Bowl class of quarterbacks, but it's pretty intriguing. and the defensive line group and all of that. But another decision that was made, which I totally understood, was Matthew Golden, wide receiver.
Yeah.
That's a guy I've fallen in love with. I
He's
mean,
made some money, huh?
We haven't done a that's my guy in a little while. But he would be next. I've absolutely fallen in love with him. In a wide receiver class that's, and I'm interested. I think he's fast. I mean, I see it on tape. I'm interested to see. I mean, he's not going to set the record, break the record that Xavier Worthy broke last year with a 4.21, with his 40-yard dash. But I think he's going to be in like that high 4.3, worst case, like low 4.4 range. I see the speed. Isaiah Bond, his teammate, is people think that he's going to run the fastest 40-yard dash of anyone. One. Very interesting one. I think there's some fool's gold there, and not a play on words, but Matthew Golden to me is a better prospect. What he's shown, and I'm interested in your take, like Matthew Golden, and I've got more tape to do and got to go down and break down the whole season and all of that. But when I start to look at this wide receiver class, like, is Travis Hunter a receiver or cornerback? Let's just remove him because he's a kind of a unicorn. Yeah, but like we got Tetroa McMillan, we've got
Luther Burden.
Yeah, I was going to say Luther Burden. Those Harris. Are two guys that everyone has. Like I don't know. I'll be interested to see when I'm done actually doing the tape, stacking them one tape after the other. And I've done a lot on McMillan. I've done a lot on Burden. I know who those guys are. But for me, and I know you're the same because we do the process together every year. The exercise of watching one player's tape at the same position, then the next player's tape, and then like putting Golden's tape and stack that up mentally.
Right.
I won't. I'll be surprised if he's not in my top 5. I think there could be an argument that he's kind of up there, and I'll be interested to see how that plays out. Yeah, in terms of like the top 3, 4 receivers in this class.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the thing with Bond that's interesting to me is he didn't put up big numbers at Alabama necessarily, but I loved his 2023 tape so much better. So it'll be interesting to see how banged up he was this year and how much of that played a role. And all that, that's all part of the process. A lot of that stuff will start to come out over the next few months.
What's going on at Penn State, man? Like these underclassmen declarations on January 15th are always fascinating to me because there's two aspects of it. All right, how is this elevating this year's class, the 2025 NFL draft class, right? But also, how's it affecting the 2025 college football season? Right? Like Drew Aller's going back to school, and I think that got cemented by the fact that he didn't play his best in the final game played. Okay. Penn State, I'm getting the sense, I said it in the open, it's like James Franklin saying, hey, you see what happened in Columbus last year? And I'm sure Herbie will get to this, but you see like 3rd, 4th, 5th year guys who could have gone to the NFL are coming back and playing. We'll get you some NIL money. We'll make it worthwhile. You're not going to take a pay cut, but let's make a real run at this next year. Now we got our quarterback back. What else is coming back to Penn State?
They got both of their talented running backs, Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, who I think was a day 2 guy.
Singleton surprised me.
I mean, that's a big one. Everyone talks about Abdul Carter coming off the edge there, but the other guy, denied Dennis Sutton, the other edge, is a talented guy that I think probably could have been a day 2 guy. He's going back. Zane Durant, a defensive tackle, I think was going to be drafted. All of them are going back. I mean, these are all names. When you add Aller, those are 5 guys that I think had a chance to be drafted. Some of them day 2, and all the reports are they're all headed back. I mean, that puts them in a great position to build off of going into next year.
A great position. I mean, if I'm Penn State, you get all those players back. Now we got to get some weapons on the outside, and we can legitimately be the class of the Big Ten next year. Legitimately.
They're going to have to rebuild the receiver room. I think Amari Evans is leaving. Other receivers are leaving. So
anyone can leave this, and I mean no disrespect. I really don't. Like good players stepped up when they had to. They need to bring in a dude or 2.
Right. Like they got to figure that out still.
All chips are in. Penn State's got to bring in a dude or 2 at wide receiver. And it's not a hard recruiting pitch, man. We're the elite. We're up with the elite in the Big Ten. We've got a quarterback that can get you the ball. We want to open things up. We're creative offensively. We just don't have. You're the missing piece.
Yeah, I mean, think about.
I don't know.
These Penn State fans, maybe they can back away from the ledge a little bit. After last week, that brutal loss, maybe they get this news and it takes a little bit of the sting away, hopefully.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got the national championship game coming up. After the national championship game, we hit the ground running. This is when the show is going to, I'm fired up. At that point, we'll have all the underclassmen with Ohio State and Notre Dame, all those players declaring. We can kind of do an analysis of all the players that are in, take an early look at the draft board by positions and just kind of see what we're looking at in terms of the talent there. And then, right away, we got Jim Nagy coming on, on the Wednesday or Thursday following the national championship game, which is next week. So it's national championship reaction show on Monday night. Okay. And then please join us on YouTube. I always call it our community, whatever we're going to call it. So national championship game reaction show right after, actually not right after. I almost forgot.
That's right.
5-minute mark. 5-minute mark. Sorry, Herbie. We're about to bring Kirk on. We're going to cut into your broadcast. We're going to steal millions from the viewership of the broadcast because they're going to be right here on YouTube with us. So that's Monday night. Then we're back a couple days later on Thursday. I think it's going to drop Thursday morning. We'll have Jim Nagy previewing the Senior Bowl, and we'll get into all this other drafts discussion. But how lucky are we, man? The old Harbaugh routine of who's got it better than us. Leading up to the national championship game, what voice do you want to hear from? It's the guy calling the game.
Better.
It's the face and voice of college football. Kirk Herbstreit, a really good friend of mine and a friend of this show, is going to join us in just a minute here, and I'm sure it's going to be a great conversation. Looking forward to that. The McShay Show is brought to you by FanDuel. There's nothing like the NFL playoffs. It's one big game after another. And you know what? Big games deserve bigger payouts. That's why FanDuel is giving all customers a same-game parlay profit boost every game day during the NFL playoffs. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. You'll score a bigger payout if your SGP hits. The same-game parlay that I'm looking at here is in the Chiefs-Texans game. CJ Stroud over 14.5 rushing yards. Get it now while you can. That number keeps going up. The Chiefs love to get opposing quarterbacks to run the football. I think Stroud's going to have a bigger day than expected running the ball in this one. And also, the other side, Xavier Worthy for the Chiefs. Been a big-time target for Patrick Mahomes down the stretch. In the last 5 games, he's had at least 5 catches. Also games of 6, 7, and 8. The over-under is 4.5 catches in this game. I'm taking the over for Xavier Worthy. So don't watch from the sidelines. Visit FanDuel.com/McShay to get in on the action. That's FanDuel.com/McShay to get a same-game parlay profit boost every game day during the NFL playoffs. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and older and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in D.C. Opt-in required. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Well, here he is. We promised and we delivered. Kirk, we appreciate the time, man. I know this is kind of the finish line. I can't even imagine it. I'm sure I'm hopeful for you, and I know you probably do have some vacation planned and all that, well-deserved. Everyone I bring on, I'd like to kind of share real quickly, and you'll strangle me for going through this, but real quickly, 2 things I want people to know about Kirk. 15 years at ESPN, I'm kind of a teammate from a distance a lot, but College Game Day Radio, doing hits with Game Day, and eventually the ABC NFL Draft. Honestly, I would put him up there. He and Mel Kiper, very different ways, the 2 most supportive people of me throughout my career, serving as a compass, promoting what I was doing, a quick text every once in a while, make sure hey, we're doing it the right way. And also just helping me, with the ABC draft, and working with him was just kind of a special experience for me. So that's first of all. And second of all, I hope people appreciate, and I know Kirk's going to kill me for this, but like there isn't a more important voice in college football, an advocate for the sport. And it's never an agenda about a program. It's never an agenda about a conference. Like having kind of been there behind the scenes and some of the stuff, obviously not all, but the meetings with important people and the promotion of college football. That's truly, I can honestly sit here and say, the most important thing professionally for Kirk always has been. Every conversation I've been around, overheard, one-on-one with him, in conferences, the college football preseason conferences we'd have where everyone gets together, it's all about what's best for the game. And I've always appreciated that because he has an unbelievable platform, but he uses it truly to protect this game that we all love. So with that as the introduction, appreciate you being here, Kirk.
Man. I appreciate it. And I loved working with you. I hope one day we can do it again.
Yeah.
I am drawn to people who have passion. I didn't know you. I never met you. But I was pretty well established by the time you came around. And I just found it's always been my role. I guess Darren Brown, my buddy, calls it quarterbacking. I just find my role is to encourage people to, like a guy like you or David Pollock or Joey Galloway or Dusty Dvorak or, you name it. I've never looked at anybody as a competitor of mine. I've never looked at anybody as somebody that's, one day they're going to try to take my job. I've just gravitated to like-minded people who love ball, who are kind of in this world of Instagram and saying crazy things and getting posts and what can I say, outrageous to try to get to go viral. I've always been drawn to people who don't really do that. They are drawn to loving the game, studying the game, promoting the game. And I saw that with you early. And I think that's why I would send you random texts or offer encouragement, just because I loved what you were about. And your career obviously blossomed and took off. But yeah, man, I think what your introduction is interesting because where we are currently in the sport with NIL and portal and 12-team playoff and all these debates, you get accused of having an agenda. You get accused of trying to do something for whatever league or team you're trying to promote. And really, at the end of the day, it's tougher and tougher to defend the sport. I do have the luxury of talking to coaches. You've been involved in these conversations where it's not the coach at the podium that we talk to. The guard is down.
Yes.
It's incredibly real. And they can't say what they say a lot of times to me. And then I have to figure out a delicate way to try to be a liaison between what's real and what should be said. And I'm willing to take bullets, for what's real. And sometimes that gets me in a tough spot. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, who thought, when you left, think about how much the sport has changed. I mean,
it's
just
amazing.
Those couple of years and where we are now, and who the hell knows where we're going, in the next few years with, I guess there's going to be a big meeting in April with revenue share. And so by the time we sit down and talk next year, there'll be even more changes, but happy to be with you, man. And love to get into whatever you guys want to talk about.
It's almost like a preservation society, right? Like all these beautiful places in the country, there's always like a preservation society that everyone locally can't stand because they cause problems and they tell no at every turn. But then you look around and it's like, wait, this is still like the preserved land. This is what makes it beautiful. This is what is special about this area of the country, right? And I've always kind of viewed your role in those conversations you have with coaches and people who are like who care similarly to that you do, of like being their mouthpiece and trying to protect this game that we love. And so we'll get to the game in just one like last question on this, but as you look at this landscape and what's on kind of on the forefront and the meeting coming up that you're talking about, like where are we now, and what are you hopeful in terms of where, the direction we're going, knowing that a lot of things are inevitable, but what in your mind and Kirk Herbstreit's mind, like what's important that we are able to kind of preserve?
Well, the traditions, obviously. I mean, the rivalries, all that. A lot of this with the realignment, everything is just, it's like a fire hose. I mean, everything came at once. I mean, we're so focused on NIL and portal, but USC playing Oregon is a Big Ten conference game. It's like your mind's exploded, and so I think the biggest thing that concerns me is who's in charge.
Yes.
If you're Greg Sankey, you have a very focused agenda for as the sport moves forward about the SEC, and Tony in the Big Ten is focused on the Big Ten and their constituents, and of course they should. I think we're governing the sport like it's 1982, and it used to be a regional sport. Like I don't know about for you guys, but like if you grew up in Ohio in the 70s and 80s, it was only thing that you even knew about was the Rose Bowl.
Right.
What Alabama was doing or what Miami of Florida was doing. I mean, you watched and it was cool, but like it was like a different pool. It didn't affect you. You were worried. And if Ohio State finished 8-3 and they won against Michigan and they won the Rose Bowl, people went crazy. It was a great year. Everybody celebrated. Well, obviously that's all changed now. So I think as the world has changed and the rules of engagement have changed, and now the Big Ten and what used to be known as the Pac-10 or Pac-12, now they've gone into the Big Ten, and now they're in with the SEC and Miami, and everybody is now together in the postseason. Well, now it's a national sport, and I still feel like we're looking at it through these different silos. So how do we move forward where the Big Ten or the SEC might think we need to go this way, and other leaders might say, no, we need to go this way. Mm-hmm. I just don't know how we get anywhere unless we eventually get to a commissioner with one voice that these conference commissioners speak to and convey their concerns in this commissioner's office. This is how we're going to move forward. I appreciate everybody's input. This is what we're going to do. The players form some kind of a union. It doesn't have to be, it could be former players. It could be a couple current players. Well, I don't know what the answer is, but you form a union, you create a collective bargaining agreement. You get through all the minutia of antitrust laws. You agree on NIL. You agree on transfer portal. You agree on dates and when things can be. You bring some sense to this whole.
Yes.
Right.
And the players have to sign off on it. They agree to the rev share percentage, and everybody's okay with it. And now we have structure, and now we, like the NFL, the Minnesota Vikings play the Detroit Lions. They're both whatever they were, 14-2, and hey, winners take all. This is what happens. They're the number one seed, home field throughout. The loser, you're a 5 seed. You're going all the way down. It's just the way it works, and no one really debates it. It's not subjective. It's like, these are the rules.
Yeah.
College football has to get to that place. We have to get to that place where we've knocked that wall down, where players are being paid. We just have to now have some parameters and some rules of engagement. There are no rules. Just do whatever you want to do over here, over there. The collectives getting involved. I think that's not great for the sport. The fact that you're going to pay a guy $10 million to come play for your school, and it's pay for play. NIL was about a guy like Bryce Young at Alabama. If he can make $10 million being Bryce Young, I think we all agree, so be it. Go make $10 million. If Caleb Williams at USC creates a brand for himself and he can make $10 million and drive a Lamborghini, so be it. But I don't like stealing from Miami of Ohio or whoever it might be for the sake of, hey, Texas A&M needs a left tackle. Okay, let's go to Southern Miss and get that freshman All-American. That's not good for the game. So there's so many things. We could go on forever of what needs to be done. At the end of the day, we need leadership. We need a voice. We need somebody that's has the guts to stand up to the threat of litigation. And the only way you can do that is partner with some kind of players union and create a CBA, create some rules. Everybody understands them, and away we go. And right now, the players have all the control. When you and I played, we had zero control.
Right.
Now they have all the control. And obviously that's not good for the players themselves. It's not good for the game. The players may think it's good for them, but as a parent, that's not
scary.
Good. Not good.
Scary. Yeah.
It's not, some of the best things that I learned when I was 18, 19, 20 were some of the worst things that I went through.
Mm-hmm.
If I could have had an easy way out, I would have taken it
every time.
But man, football, that's what it teaches, is that hard work and perseverance. And this sucks. This isn't fair. The coach is doing this, but you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. And after your experience, and maybe it wasn't perfect, mine certainly wasn't, but man, I learned so many life lessons that impact me every single day of my life, whether it's as a husband or as a dad, as an employee of ESPN or Amazon, whatever I do, my preparation, like before I talk to you, I'm on my board right now, I'm taking notes, I'm studying film. Like there's a lot there that I feel like we're taking away from the players. And I'm just hopeful that we get back to, coaches having a positive impact, even though it's tough love. It's a positive long-term impact. And I feel like that's being taken away in a lot of cases from the players and from the coaches.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to take away there, Kirk. And I appreciate you taking the time. Like we've got to make sure that we, like I said, we preserve this game that we all love. And there's a happy medium with all of this, but it's going to take leadership to find that sweet spot. All right, we're here, man. You're calling the game. There's nobody better to talk to. I mean, it's some heavy stuff, but it's important stuff. But this is the game that we all prepare for. Every player is every day they put in work is trying to get here. We've got Ohio State, Notre Dame, national championship. You're on the call, and you and Chris Fowler obviously in the booth. As you prepare for this game, I don't know why, but the first thing that jumps out to me, and I'm curious to get your take on it, like the coaching job that has been done coming off of that Michigan game, from Ryan Day to kind of galvanize this team and it's us versus the world and putting us that behind, like that's not easy to do in this day and age we live, to Chip Kelly and like the counters and misdirection and opening up the passing game and empowering his quarterback, to Jim Knowles, to like adding the safety, Caleb Downs, and now a different defensive coverage structure. Like to see that much coaching going in this late in the season, how unique is that? And just kind of explain to people who are tuning in how impactful that's all been for this Ohio State run.
I think that's what's so cool about this 12-team playoff is you have two teams that hit some serious adversity and had to overcome it to even punch their ticket to get into the playoff. And in Ohio State's case, as you know, I mean, the Ohio State-Michigan game, I mean, you can put it up there with whatever rivalry you want to put it up there with. And I lived it myself. And when I was there, we never beat Michigan. And John Cooper was criticized. John Cooper was, of course, no matter, he'd go 11-1 every year and lose that game. And people every single year said, fire him, fire him, fire him. And he lasted somehow about 13 years. And, Jim Tressel had a ton of success. And then Urban Meyer was 7-0. And then Ryan Day came in right after Urban Meyer went 7-0. And he's had some difficulties here these last, was going into this year, the last 3 years, so many devastating losses. And they put it all in on this year that, they get him at home. Michigan was kind of rebuilding after their national championship year, obviously didn't have a great year offensively. And everyone just knew, Ohio State fans just thought it was a given. Who cares about the rivalry? Ohio State, they're too good. They're going to win. And they lose that one. And then we see what happened at the end, the flag situation, the fights, it was just a mess. And the lot of the narrative on the back end of that, not from the nation, well, I guess the nation too, but I think more impactful was a lot of the Ohio State media and fans were like, this guy's lost 4 in a row. Urban won 7 in a row. Regardless of how many games he's won, he can't win that game. And there was a bit, who cares we're going to the playoff? There was that was hanging around for, and I don't mean everybody, but a good percentage of people. And then they played Tennessee, and you saw, I mean, we know Tennessee travels, but somehow Tennessee had 35,000 fans inside Ohio Stadium. So I know it was cold out, but if they had that game right now with the buzz and energy around Ohio State football right now,
yeah,
there would have been maybe 7 Tennessee fans in that stadium. So
right.
that tells you that people are like, the hell with it after that Michigan game. And so I happen to have a son on the team who's a senior, and they do what's called senior tackle. It's a tradition they do every year. And it used to be open to the public and the media. It's closed now, except for the senior parents and the rest of the team and the coaches. And we went to it. And what they do is it's a very tight knit thing. And he gets his seniors and he says something about 45 seconds to a minute about each guy. And then the guy grabs the mic and he says what it's meant to him to be a part of Ohio State. This is fresh off of all this stuff.
Yeah.
And man, I just stood there as a dad and I just watched, and I mean, tearing up, watching Trevion Henderson talk, who's been through a lot, watching, Jack Sawyer talked, JTT talk, like watching all these guys, Lathan Ransom. That's what's I think a little bit of a misconception is Ohio State bought their roster. They had to spend money to keep a lot of guys because a lot of these guys have been playing on defense for 3 years. They've lost to Michigan 4 times on the field. Mm-hmm. Well, Caleb Downs is a new piece, but everybody else has been there. They just had to spend money in this new world so they wouldn't leave.
Right.
I think it's a little bit of a misconception that some people talk about. Although they better win, they went out and spent $20 million. No, that's to keep a lot of these guys. So it was a veteran group that suffered a lot. And I feel like they kind of drew a line in the sand that day at that senior tackle. And all I heard from each guy is, as they were kind of crying, talking, like, this isn't it. We're not saying goodbye. Like, we got 4 more games. Every single guy. Talked to Ryan Day after, and he opened up a lot to me about what he was feeling at that time. And he had a look in his eye like he was about to go into a middle of a ring at a MMA or a UFC fight and go to the death. Like he had that look in his eye. Mm-hmm. And fight or flight. And it was just like, he's like, we got 4. Last thing he said to me was, hey, I'll see you soon, man. He goes, we got 4 more to go. Like, I must have heard. I was just like, man, these guys, mm-hmm. This is more than just talk. Like, there's a look. So they played Tennessee. They took care of business. They went out to the Rose Bowl, took care of business. As you said, they opened up things. They got more aggressive. It's almost like the weight of just the stress of Michigan was behind them. Yeah. Like, what the hell? What else could go wrong? Like, what do we have to lose? Right. What do we have to lose kind of mentality? And I think that's really carried them. And then they go to the game against Texas, and Texas did a great job defensively, taking Jeremiah away, the big playability away. Chip had to find other answers, and he did with Carnell Tate and Trevion Henderson, who's a freaky, talented back. Junkins, the kid that came over from Ole Miss. And they just had to kind of earn their way. If Texas would have scored there at the 1 yard line and tie it up with about 3 to go, that would have been a hell of a finish to see what would have happened, right?
Yes.
But Jack Sawyer ends up making the play. So now here we go. It's Ohio State and Notre Dame had to overcome their own obstacles. If you look at it on paper, that's why Vegas, I think, has Ohio State, whatever it is, 8 or 9 point favorite. If you go position by position, which is a dangerous thing to me in football, it's very easy to say Ohio State's better here, they're better here, they're better here. Notre Dame is like that typical, like a team that they make a movie out of that, how did they win the national championship kind of thing. They have good players, but they're a better team. Mm-hmm. They're a great team. You look at them in pregame and you watch them. There's a few guys that kind of stand out. You look at the other end who they're playing, you're like, whoa, look at that guy. And you look at Notre Dame, and you're like, oh, we'll see. And then they play as 11 on special teams and defense mainly. Offense is doing what they need to do. That's what makes this game so exciting for me getting ready to call it, is you have this team that's just like a freight train with all this NFL talent and experience at Ohio State. And you got Marcus Freeman, a former Buckeye, who was a great player, who within a few years has taken Notre Dame all the way to the national championship. nobody really looks at them as like, there's no way you can really win this game. It's almost like, please keep telling us that.
Yes.
Please keep telling us we have
Right.
no chance to win this game.
Right.
We're going to accidentally show up Monday night. Well, if you'll allow us, we'll put our uniforms on. Why don't we kick it off and let's just see what happens.
See what happens.
That's the kind of the vibe I feel like coming out of the Notre Dame camp. And I just feel like in college football, you just never know. And I think that's what makes this game. Now, Notre Dame will have to win the turnover margin. They'll have to win the field position battle with special teams, whether they get a big block, punt, or make a play on that in that area. And they're going to have to like find a way to get to that fourth quarter and look up, and it's 20-17 or it's 17-14 or whatever it is. And it's like, all right, now we got them where we want them. Let's go find a way to win this game. I mean, it's going to have to be that old school style of football to play in their favor, limit the explosives, play old school football, and find a way to win it in the fourth quarter. If it goes their way, that's how it'll have to go.
Yeah. I mean, when I look at it, I see it the same way. I mean, Notre Dame has to try and take that more talented Ohio State team into the deep water and try to make it a battle of wills, keep it close. Maybe a gadget play comes into play. I wouldn't be surprised to see a trick play at some point. But the problem I think Notre Dame faces is that this Ohio State team is a tough and physical team too.
Yeah.
It's almost a little bit of careful what you ask for, because you don't want to meet those guys in an alley either.
Yeah.
So, it seems to me that it's going to have to unfold the same way. It's going to be that Notre Dame runs the ball well enough to sustain drives, to extend drives, and to keep it close. But Marcus Freeman and his staff have been excellent all year, so it'll be interesting to see what their game plan is.
Yeah. I mean, I do think people underestimate Notre Dame's talent. Standing on the field and watching them against Penn State, that first half could not have gone any worse for them offensively. They just couldn't come up with any playmakers. And Todd, if you and Steve looked at their wide receivers, they're good athletes. I don't know if they don't have Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Egbuka, Carnell Tate. Those guys were clearly selected to be difference makers in an offense. They have very talented guys that are very capable, kind of like gym rats kind of guys that if you sleep on them, then I think you're going to get in trouble. They do a really good job with, little things like their formations, their motions, their tempo, just enough to give you some headaches and how you communicate on defense. And Mike Denbrock's one of the best. He's the offensive coordinator and play caller for Notre Dame. He had Desmond Ridder at Cincinnati the year that Cincinnati went all the way to the playoff and lost to Alabama. He's had Jaden Daniels.
The turnaround he made with him.
So the reason I bring that up is he's been there. He's done that. He understands when you go up against a Goliath like this. And he also has experience in working with a skill set like Riley Leonard. I'm not comparing Riley to the previous two that we talked about. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is a generational talent, but it's a similar skill set as far as this guy has the ability to run. The QB run game, if they hang in, and like you said, Steve, if they get their run game going, clearly Riley Leonard's going to have to carry it 15, 20 times and have to be that +1 that Ohio State's going to get Caleb Downs and Lathan Ransom down and have to be involved in run support. Maybe that gives them some opportunities. I think the corners at Ohio State are good. They've been vulnerable. If there's one spot where you can
get them.
Right.
You can make plays when they're on islands. And I think Notre Dame's good enough. So if you can get those safeties down to have to account for Riley and Jeremiah Love and company and get them involved in run support, and then you play action and you start to try to get some deep crossers or sail route concepts, whatever it might be, all that's going to have to be like a jigsaw puzzle that Denbrock's putting together as the game is going on. If they can't run the ball, because that Ohio State defensive line is on fire, not just the edge guys, but Tyleek Williams is an NFL guy.
Yep.
Hamilton. I mean, they're physical. They're shedding people. Like if they're winning and they don't need the safeties down, then we can, it's over. You know, that Notre Dame's offensive line will have to win that battle up front and avoid those third and obvious passing situations, kind of play on their terms, I think, for them to really get some rhythm going offensively. Otherwise, they'll have to do what they did against Georgia. They did not have any rhythm offensively, but they won special teams, had a big return. They got big turnover, gave them the ball at like I think the 10-yard line. Like it'd have to be that kind of game if they can't get their offense going against a very, very athletic and powerful Ohio State defense.
I don't know about you, but I'm kind of fascinated on the other side of the ball. You've got this Notre Dame defense, like cover one, safety up, in your face, like press man and confident. But then you look at Ohio State, and since the Michigan game, it's like, all right, go ahead, try us. Chip is absolutely empowered Will Howard as a passer. I've seen so much growth out of him. Obviously, the weapons he has with 4 and 2 and Tate when they Carnell Tate 17 when they need him. But you look at it, okay, man-to-man Tennessee, nightmare, right? Oregon tried to kind of mix things up. We saw when they were playing a little more zone than they were comfortable with, breakdowns in the secondary. Then you see Texas, the best in the country. It's zone coverage, like is disciplined and just functional inside that structure, as you'll find in college football, did a great job. But as you said, Chip and kind of had to manufacture things, a little more patience. But this is not a Notre Dame team. Like I watch him on tape. It's all of this press man and that aggressive attack. So are we going to get away from what we do best? Or are we just going to line up and do what we do best and hope for the best? I mean, what do you expect to see on that side?
That's what I'm heading to Atlanta today. We meet with Al Golden and Marcus on Saturday. And honestly, dude, that to me is the big question, because the teams that have played man to man, especially in the postseason, it's been a Mike Tyson knockout in the first
90 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it's over. Make your choice. Michael Spinks, Trevor Burbick, you know, whichever knockout you want. It's been that kind of deal. And here they are. They play man. I think they're second in the nation is the percentage of man coverage that they play. And that's what they're good at. They're also really smart. They're really well coached. They see Jeremiah Smith. They know, you know, Ben Morrison's one of the top corners in the nation. He's been out, you know, most of the year. This kid, Leonard Moore, has stepped up. He's a true freshman.
I know.
Done an amazing job. He's got great length at 6'2". Christian Gray, another highly touted corners on the other side. I think they're going to leave them. They're going to have to. Because here's the thing. If you say we're going to sit back, first of all, that's not your game. And now you're relying on your front without Mills. They've had some other injuries up front. Ohio State's offensive line has been good. I don't want to say they're dominant. They've had some injuries, obviously. They lost to Remington, Winter, and McLaughlin. They've kind of made do with what they have. But don't you want to kind of keep the game in front of you? Like if the goal is to win on defense and win on special teams, to me, it's a major roll of the dice if you do what you do and leave your corners on islands against Chip Kelly and these receivers, because then it becomes a game of Will Howard gets the snap, and it's a race from the pass rush, whether you're bringing pressure, or can you get to Will Howard
right
before Jeremiah Smith separates? Like it's a race to see, and that's a dangerous proposition. So I think you got to be a little bit of both, which I think you're going to play some man because you're going to have to, but I think they're going to rely more on simulated pressure. They love to blitz 34, 24, and 3. I mean, that's just the way they get pressure, especially with Riley Mills out. They don't have a lot of pass rushers. They've got to rely on linebackers and nickels and safeties to be able to get home. So I think you just have to be aware where 4 is, bracket him, have a roll coverage towards him, help your corners out. Other times you're bringing people and you're just hoping you get to them before Will Howard can have time to make the throw. Keep this in mind. Will Howard in those first 2 games, it almost looked like 7-on-7.
Yes.
It wasn't just the receivers. Todd, you see, he's back there. I mean, you could draw a 3-yard pocket almost every time he threw the football. And so I'm a huge Will Howard fan, but Texas did a much better job. They had 2 sacks. They pressured him.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different game for any quarterback. But, man, if Will's clean with those receivers and Chip Kelly, it's a problem. They've got to come up with ways. Al Golden's as good as there is at coming up with new wrinkles and creative ways to affect the offensive line and their communication. But if you sit back, now you're getting Trevion Henderson and Junkins running downhill. Eventually, you're going to have to say, I'd rather give up those yards on the ground than give a big one over the top. Let's take our chances. Let's make them go 10, 11, 12 plays. And then let's try to get creative in the red zone and hope we can win in the red zone and do what we do in the red zone and make things have to go quicker for them, tighter space, and they kick field goals. I mean, that's what I would do if I were Notre Dame. And then rely on my offense to get maybe a short field, my special teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way they're going to have to do it. I just can't see them being a team that's, I don't want to say arrogant, but
stubborn.
Stubborn. Hey, that's a good one. Stubborn enough to be like, we do what we do, and hopefully it's good enough to win the national championship. I think Marcus is a defensive guy, one of the better defensive minds. Al Golden, you got 2 really almost savants on that side of the ball that have had 9 days to say, we're not doing that. Let's be smart. Let's be smart. Let's pick our spots. That's my guess. Without talking to them, I think that'll be the approach.
We could do this all day, man.
Yeah,
I love it. You got a plane to catch. You got to get to Atlanta, and I just always love cutting it up and talking ball with you. So we appreciate your time. The whole world will be watching. We'll be watching as well. I'll probably be texting you and annoying you while you're in the booth.
Yeah, and I hit you right back too.
Mensch, I've never seen anything like it. Like occasionally, I try not to bug people because I've been in that role. But if I've got something that's like driving me crazy, and like 3 seconds later, he'll have just finished his sentence.
How do you do it?
Did you see 17 on that?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Like, how does he do it?
I'm counting on some texts from you Monday night.
I will.
Yeah.
I will, brother. I appreciate you. And everything I've said, when we started this thing off, I couldn't be more appreciative of your support throughout and for what you do for this game. And look forward to talking to you soon and agree with you. I'd love to have our paths cross and work with you again soon.
Absolutely, man. That's
all right, bud.
Well, let's stay connected. And anytime you guys need me, happy to hop on.
All right. Perfect. I'm sure we'll be calling you around the draft. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Take care.
He's the best, isn't he? I mean, there's a reason that he's in the position he's in, and we all take our beatings in this role for all of our takes, and people in Athens hate me for when I say a certain thing about Carson Beck, so everyone takes their hits, but I think it's important for everyone to realize, like, truly, I've had the privilege of being behind the scenes with this man and seeing, like, there is no agenda outside of how do we preserve this great game that we all love. And so you may not like his approach sometimes. You may be a Florida State fan or a fan of a certain conference or a fan of whatever. And the lunatic fringe is always going to yell the loudest because they need to be heard. But like at the end of the day, the people who are empowered with these positions, all you can hope for is that they're trying to do the best that they can. And they're representing the coaches, the people who are in the weeds with these young men every day. And that's what Kirk does. So I've always had an unbelievable appreciation for what he does. And also the game breakdown. Like, he's getting on a plane right now, man. He's going to meet with Marcus. He's going to meet with Ryan. He's going to get the game, and just to hear where his mindset is and kind of the questions he's going to ask these guys, I think was fascinating too. All right. But we got some stuff we got to unload after that. I just quickly, before we get into our picks. So I'm just curious, like after all this tape study, everything we've put into this game, I know you and I are texting back and forth. We're kind of trying to figure out Ohio State's offense, Notre Dame's defense, schematically. What are you most hot on? What gets you amped up in terms of preparing to watch this game?
Well, it's been the year of the running back, right? You look at Boise State's Ashton Genty, and the regular season he had was incredible. Then you look at Cam Scatteroo from Arizona State and that performance against Texas, and I think it's going to be the running backs again tonight. I mean, you look at Travion Henderson. I was surprised how much success Penn State had flanking Notre Dame's defense in that game last week. And Henderson's a burner that can get outside, and if they let him turn the corner and watch out. Also, Notre Dame's going to blitz. They're going to bring pressure. Quinson Judkins, as good of a runner as he's been, that man has been tough as a blocker.
Yeah,
Watch him step up in pass pro. Watch him take on guys. I get worried. He lowers his helmet a little bit, and it makes for some big collisions, but he is tough. He will step up. He's going to be good in pass protection. Now, on the other side of the ball, look, I know Notre Dame's beat up front, and I know that second level of that Ohio State defense has been incredible, and I'll include Kalen Dowds in that because he's where he's lining up. It is not a good week to have a letdown for tackling for Ohio State. Jeremiah Love is a tough dude who will break tackles. You saw it in the game against Penn State. He will drag defenders into the end zone. And keep an eye on Aeneas Williams, the running back out of the backfield, the receiver out of the backfield for Notre Dame. That's something, one of the few weaknesses that we saw from Ohio State is their inability to cover backs out of the backfield in that Texas game. So he's a guy to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah. You look at, Aeneas Williams is fascinating to me. All of a sudden, he kind of freshman out of nowhere, break out. Obviously, because Love was limited and had a pitch count, it seemed in that game, they needed somebody else to step up. But the role he played, they learned something in a big moment. He can, like, 5 catches, 66 yards versus Penn State in that game. He averaged just 3 carries. He's averaged just 3 carries throughout the college football playoff, right? But he's got 11 catches in the 3 games. So, like, how does that role play in? I'm fascinated with this, and it kind of plays off of that. The offensive line for Notre Dame, and both teams have had to endure injuries, but Ohio State has had more time to deal with it, and they've got, their backups in place and their movements around, and we've talked about all the different spots they've had to move to. But now you've got Anthony Knapp, who I want to say I read 818 snaps at left tackle as a freshman for Notre Dame. And so, like, that's all they've known this year. And so now you've got Jagasaw coming in, Charles Jagasaw. He played some guard in this game, but he was He was going to be the starting left tackle. Had he not gotten dinged up in the preseason, was kind of the way it was tracking. So I've heard talks that he's going to move out to left tackle. And then what's going to happen with Rocco Spindler, who's the right guard, who's been dinged up on and off and was not in that, didn't play much in that last game. So they've got some, like, very recent shifting and moving around. I don't want to call it a mash unit, but and you're going up against a defensive front. And you heard Kirk just talk about it. We've talked about it for a couple of weeks now. Like, this defensive front went from a bunch of dudes who look like, second, third round picks, good players, but wanting more, to, like, getting more. It's been, you know what I mean? Like, it's been awesome watching this front. It's everything you kind of hope. I hope the I hope Captain Jack becomes a little more ferocious and violent. I hope that we see a little more out of Tyleek on the inside and consistent, like, just like urgency. But you got 4 guys that are top 100 picks and rising. Ty Hamilton being the 4th against that beat up front. And the things that jump out to me, Notre Dame's run game. Now, mind you, with that offensive line for the most part intact, they've found levels of success throughout the year. A&M, good run defense. Louisville, actually a good run defense. Indiana, this, not the dudes, but the discipline, the gap sound, like being in the right space. Georgia, Penn State, like this. But all of a sudden now, this is the best run defense that they're going to face. And not only is it the best run defense, it's strength versus strength. It's also a 4-man pressure. And if you look back at Riley Leonard, and I know so much about this, so much of this game is going to be the 3-headed monster running back, Riley Leonard, running the option, giving a numbers advantage, a +1 in the run game, all of that. But there are going to be times where he's got to drop back and throw. And you are going to want to take advantage of the 1 weak spot we just talked about with Kirk, those corners. When you can isolate them on an island, and challenge them athletically, whether it's sharp in-cutting routes or drags or post corner. Like there are ways to exploit the tightness that they have in their hips. Okay. Just to break it down. But is Riley Leonard going to have time and be successful? His numbers are so vastly different. I went and looked it up. We're talking like top 20 in the nation in terms of passing efficiency when he has a clean pocket versus like 86, 94th, like when you're comparing front four. And the worst of it is the front four pressure, as it always is for quarterbacks.
Right.
Because that means they still got 7 in coverage. So that offensive line is going to be a major part of this Notre Dame team. Can they hold up against that front four that is playing its best ball of the year?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I have serious doubts. I mean, one of the things you talk about with these guys getting theirs, I remember talking about loving the Ohio State edge guys, but wondering if any of them were, those closers, those game closers that can get that sack at the end of the game. And I think Sawyer kind of answered that last week for everyone, the way he ended that game. So they are on an absolute tear, and it's bad timing for Notre Dame to have some injuries up front.
We're taping this at 11:45 Eastern, okay, a.m. on Thursday. I'm pulling up my FanDuel app right now, okay, logging in. Ohio State. Remember it started. Oh, look at you, Tucker. Beat me to it. But I am glad I pulled this up just to make sure nothing changed, because this line has changed. When we came off the Cotton Bowl on Friday night, we asked the line. I was kind of blown away. It was 9.5. Remember we got everyone in the community, the live chat during our YouTube show. Loved, like, everyone was getting involved, giving their prediction, what they thought. A couple of guys I had to call out. Absolute cheats, but I love it. Competitive edge. Everyone's looking for it. They knew the line, but jumped in like they had the answer, which I get. But it was 9.5. I said to you at the time, if I had to guess, if I didn't know the line, if I was trying to be honest, I thought it was gonna be like 7.5, 8. It's
right
down to 8.5 now. Okay. So Ohio State minus 8.5, minus 375 on the money line. And then the over-under's 46.5. Percentage of money. Look how even this is, Muench. And I've told everyone who's been a part of the audience here on the show.
Wow.
Like, handicapping is its own entity. And unfortunately, it is so separate. Like, some of the worst gamblers, some of the worst handicappers, I should say, in the world are guys who just can evaluate football at a high level. I've sat there on desks with coaches and like the amount of terrible picks, given the unbelievable amount of football knowledge they have. It's two different worlds. And so
right.
like the line is based off of what the public's going to do. And so often this year we've picked huge winners because it's like 78% of the early tickets. And that's the public before the sharps come in and kind of move the line. It's 78% on one side, 82% on one side. They got this number right now. Look in the bottom left of this graphic. 52% is on Notre Dame for 52% of the money. And I actually always go off of the bets, the tickets placed. 51%. I think it's 51% Notre Dame. Because the tickets, it's usually like a lot of guys and people that aren't the best, prognosticators in the world. And that, like, the money can be shifted sometimes by the sharps and the big bets. So it is dead even. So with all that nonsense as a backdrop, who you got here, Muench? 8.5.
Look, I wanted to say this really quickly. Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman just turned 39 years old. And I think we've already kind of hit on it. He's got a super bright
already
future.
Fear a butt here.
The butt is coming. I just want to give the guy a shout out because
please do. I'm sorry.
I love what he's doing, and I think he's going to have his team ready for this. I just think Notre Dame needs to continue to build off what he's already doing. I just don't think they're there yet. And for that reason, I think that Ohio State covers. And I also think, I'm going to throw this out here, Will Howard's your MVP in this game.
Ooh, I don't think you can make that play on FanDuel, but I like it.
I just throw it out there.
I can see that. Against that man coverage defense. I think they'll be smart. I think what Kirk was saying, I think it won't be a lot of zone, or they won't like change what they do, but they'll be a little more cautious and smart about handling it than let's say Tennessee was. stubborn and kind of in your face with it, and that backfired fast. I'm the same with you, and I hate this. My best picks all year have been when I've gone against you. I've seen something in the line. I've seen something in the tickets placed. I got nothing here outside of so far in this college football playoff. The favorites have been 8-2 against the spread, 9-1 outright. It has been a not predictable, I don't want to say, but like kind of predictable in terms of the outcomes of these games. And I can envision, like you said, drag him in the deep water, turn it into a mud slinging fight, like make it gross, make it uncomfortable, all those things. I can envision a scenario in which Notre Dame does. And if they do so, we're going to be watching like, God, this game sucks. This is boring. You know what I mean? Like we've seen it the last couple of times Notre Dame. Oh man, like, and then things will pick up and it'll be a great finish. I can see that happening. Special teams, as you said, like mixing something unexpected, something insane that you're like, what just happened? Right? I can see it. But I just don't see the matchups. And I think the injuries, I just wonder, I question how Love is going to be. Jeremiah Love, is he going to be 100%? Will he hold up for 4 quarters? And even if he does, the offensive line for Notre Dame, there are enough glaring concerns going into this from a matchup standpoint that I would go Ohio State. I also would go, and I put this on X. I posted this on X for FanDuel. FanDuel has options where you can play anything. You can, who was it? Barry. Remember back at Richmond, we had a tutor we'd had like the freshman.
Barry Odom? No, not Barry.
Barry, not Barry. Barry Barnum. Barry Barnum.
Yeah.
He was like our after
mentor.
practice. The freshmen have to go, and we would go to study hour, if you will, right? And then with this guy, and he always used to say, and I won't use the exact phrasing, but man, you can bet on 2 monkeys humping if you want, Basically, that's what you can do with FanDuel. Like there's so many different ways to do it, and I love that. I was just kind of flipping through the team totals. I think it was minus 158 at the time. Team total points in the game. I think Notre Dame under 20.5. I have a hard time seeing them get to 21 points in this game. So that's my 2 cents.
You remember? Yeah. Do you see the Dark Knight, that Batman movie, the Dark Knight movie with Bane?
Yeah.
Tom Hardy plays Bane. This is what I keep coming back to, is I could see Notre Dame turning this into a brawl, and that's great. But there's a scene in that movie where Batman's coming in to fight Bane, and Batman turns off the lights, and Bane in that deep voice is like, "Oh, you think the darkness is your ally? I grew up in the darkness. I was born in the darkness." And we keep talking about Ohio State. We've talked about Jeremiah Smith being awesome. We always come back to one core thing about this run for Ohio State: physical ass kickings. Yep. And it's like I said, to Herbstreit, like, be careful what you wish for, man, because that Ohio State team's like, you want to turn this into a brawl? We're very comfortable turning this into a brawl.
And they weren't a month ago.
No, they weren't. They can
Something
win.
clicked.
Ohio State can win this game in a number of different ways. Notre Dame has to win it in one specific way and kind of has to thread the needle.
Yeah. What an awesome way to end the show. Like, subscribe. If you're watching this, just take a second, press a button, subscribe for us, like. Most importantly, come join us Monday night. I'm fired up. It's our last reaction show to the college football season, the college football playoff national championship. It's been a wild ride. And I cannot thank you. Like, truly, the numbers have spiked. We were talking about like the people who are joining live at midnight, 1 a.m., sticking with us, all the live messaging. We'll bring it back up this week, and we'll engage and have a lot of fun. We'll be there 5 minutes on the game clock. Come join us, please. 5 minutes remaining. Have the TV on the background. Get on your device, however you want to do it. Come join us on Monday night, January 20th, national championship game. 5 minutes remaining on the game clock. Mention I will be here. I won't be late. Stop yelling at me. I know, like, I've been called McShay time my whole life. We'll be here on time. 5 minutes left. Come join us. For today, we appreciate it. Thank you, Herbie, for joining us. Awesome stuff as we expected and have come to expect from Kirk. And appreciate everyone watching and being a part of this show. Till next time. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. Or 18 plus and present in D.C. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.